Come with us on this journey. All right, everyone. Welcome to another exciting, fun-filled episode of Midwest Reel, the Zen-like Productions podcast. I'm Jim. This is Robert.
Hello.
So we are pleased to be at the beautiful Janesville Performing Arts Center on the set of a show called These Shining Lives, which is going to be performed by the Janesville Little Theater. By the time you see this, it will have already been performed. So how's that for bad marketing on our part? But we are thrilled to have with us the director of this production, and she is with us because she has worked with us on short films, particularly in a film called Meeting Dad. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Bernie Hein.
Hello.
Thanks so much for being here.
Yes, absolutely.
And the main thing that we want to talk about is we're sort of talking about our experiences doing short films, kind of like the things that we've learned, some tips maybe along the way. So other people that want to sort of do the same thing can sort of follow along and go, maybe let us make the mistakes. And so one of the things we've been talking about recently are the actors and the process of acting and bringing actors in. And so I'm not from around here originally, so I wanted to find out what you think about the process, and you can jump in, Jim, about how we basically cast Meeting Dad.
Well, first of all, Bernie, just, to give you a little bit of Bernie's background, Bernie mainly acts on stage besides directing the show JPEG right now. And I was actually in Shakespeare As You Like It with Bernie. And you did Poisoning Pigeons with the Park. Tell us about that experience.
Oh my goodness. That show was so fun. I would do that show 5 times over.
You were really good at that.
Thank you. I really enjoy being goofy, and Jim wrote a really fun, goofy character that just fit the songs. And I was not really familiar with Tom Lehrer, but I really came to love a lot of his music by the end, and of course explored and discovered a lot more songs that were just more than just what was in the play. But just incredible seeing all talent that he inspired. It was just a blast.
How often do you get to do a musical number called the Masochism Tango?
Only once.
Which was very funny. So obviously I know you're directing this, but how long have you been acting?
I would say since high school. I really discovered that I love acting in high school, but there weren't a lot of dramatic opportunities in high school. When I went, it was musicals, and musicals are fun, but they don't give you a lot of meat to work with if you're in a big cast and, you get cast in the ensemble, and it's just a different experience. So discovered straight plays are more my thing. And I needed something else other than work in my life. I was working,
a creative outlet.
Yeah. Something to remind me that life is more than paying bills. And it was just, I tried out for the first thing that I saw. I took like a 10-year break after high school.
Oh, wow.
Where I just, worked and was an adult. And then, auditioned for the first thing that I saw at JPAC, and that was Never Too Late with Janesville Little Theater, and been doing it ever since. That was,
2014? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then the show, you were in a show in Beloit, Beloit Civic Theater.
Yeah,
right?
I've done 2 with them. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the one that you were in right before you ended up in the Shakespeare in Milton with us?
If it was with Beloit, it was Making God Laugh.
Okay.
Yeah, it must have been.
That because Michael Chase, when we decided, because Michael Chase directed you in a show there.
Oh, Michael Chase directed me in Same Time Next Year.
Okay, that was because when we decided to do As You Like It, Michael was like, I just had this actress in Beloit, and she would be perfect to be the lead in As You Like It, and that was how we met, and that was how it led to you being in the film Meeting Dad.
Absolutely, I remember that. I remember when you started talking about and you were saying, got the perfect actress, And like, I'd never met you before that either. And so, didn't we just like, I think I met you actually on the first day of shooting.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't, right? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, wow. So you took it on faith that
I did. I trusted you. So what's the difference? Tell us the difference between acting on stage and acting in film.
Oh, total night and day difference. Acting on stage, you really get into a flow and you do the same thing, for an hour and a half. You're in the same character for an hour and a half, and then you get a break, and then you do it again the next night. And then with film acting, it's like you remember I've been in a couple other short films and they've given me the script the day of, and it's like,
yeah,
here you go. Here's the page, film it, flip, another page, film it. And you would do a motion 3 different times, 8 different times, because, a different angle or a different, there was a plane flying over it, like whatever it was. So it's definitely a mind switch, because I feel like I'm just more used to stage acting. So I get like into a character and I stay there, versus you have to like remind yourself to stay in it in a film. At least I'm so new to it. So, because there's so many more interruptions with film acting. Another huge difference of stage and film acting is how big you make the motions, right? I've always enjoyed watching movies where actors create such deep experiences with such small motions with their face. And it's like, I really love that idea, and I loved being able to do that. Versus, a stage, you have to lift your arm all the way up to make a point or something, or, it's a lot more, it can be cartoony sometimes, how much you have to emote. I love that difference, actually. Yeah.
When you played Anna in Meeting Dad, and the character is basically, she's an old woman who's dying, but you're the younger version of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And in the afterlife, you're meeting the father that you never knew because he passed away before you were born. How did it feel playing a character that, number one, was based on a real person?
Mm-hmm.
It was based on my mother.
Mm-hmm.
And also playing a character that was, in that particular situation where, putting yourself in the mindset where you're meeting this person that your whole life you wanted to know what he was about, who he was, and what made him tick. I mean, how did you mentally prepare? So that's a 2-part question. So.
Yeah. Yeah. How did I mentally prepare? It was difficult to think about because I'm so close to my dad, and the weird thing is my dad actually recently passed. So, knowing the feeling of having lost him and trying to think about what would it be like if I never knew him, is just, it's deep, it gets you, because, I had to think about, at the time my dad was alive, and I had to think about what would it be like if I never knew him, and found out he was not a great person, or made really bad choices. And it made me sad. It made me sad because I was like, just the kind of like a part of yourself is missing, a part of your identity is missing, and not knowing. So many people have the experience in life where they grew up without a parent, or one parent is totally missing, or both parents, they never knew either of their parents. I mean, it just made me put myself in somebody's shoes that didn't know where they necessarily came from, or a part of them, where did that, a part of them, they don't know where it came from.
Uh-huh. Well, I really respect and admired your performance in that, because having not met you before, and then just throwing you right into that, and then doing the whole thing where I was, the different angles, okay, do that again. And you were always able to pick right up wherever we needed to and take it. So it's interesting to hear sort of your process and the backstory, what you were thinking. Because, I was thinking about so many different things. So that's why it's fascinating to hear the point of view from the actor. You were going to ask something, Jim?
Did it matter, or did it enter into your thinking at all, that knowing that, you know, your character was based on a real person?
It did. Because I mean, when you make up a story, I think of all stories as made up, right? And like, it's difficult to connect them to a real, no, this really happened. Yeah, it made me, just knowing you, having known you for years already, or yeah, it wasn't that long, I guess, but it was a few years already by that point. And, thinking about like somebody who raised you, you know, experienced that, like just that feeling of the energy being so close. I don't know, I'm kind of like energy emotive. Like I feel things intuitively like that. So, just thinking about it, yeah, it made me think about how that would affect her raising you and how that affected you. I mean, everything's connected, right? That experience affected her, and that in turn affected you. And, you know, there's a different time, of course. So many cultural things were different. Yeah, a lot of things I guess I didn't really have answers to, but I definitely made me ponder.
Interesting. Well, what about, so that's the perspective from acting. So you're directing this, but what about working with different directors? So you've worked with a lot of directors on stage. You've worked with a lot of different directors in film. How different is that process?
My experience personally has been the film directors have been more, I guess, just focused on the technical aspects, versus I haven't personally had a director like, oh, give me more, or like, do that again, you know, like focused on, I think because I've worked with like small local groups, we haven't had the bandwidth to hire like a director who is like, they're all about the actors. Like, you're doing it all, right? You're doing, this is a lot. Like the tech part and the editing, like that's a lot already to think about. Like, you don't really have much left. So, the answer that comes to mind is that the film directors have been more laid back in that sense. And I've had more freedom in that way, versus the stage directors have been like, very focused. I mean, that, you know, for 8 weeks, that's another big difference. There's the time that you spend on a live performance is, you know, weeks versus a couple of days of filming.
But there's also a level of trust too, so, you know, because I mean, I totally trusted what you were doing. There were times when I remember you asking me questions and I was like, go with it. You know, it's like, you know, just because I knew you were going to do a great job based on what Jim had said. So it's interesting to hear the difference between the different styles.
And plus, it was nice not to have to worry about what you were going to do, because we were more worried about traffic noise, you know, in the background, or people up on, you know, the balcony of the nearby coffee shop or things, you know, or the, you know, screenwriter who was running the boom, who kept getting it in the shop, screwing up shots.
I bought him a great T-shirt that says "The boom's in the shot." Because every time we're doing
I love that.
Jim.
I love that.
Well,
I wear it with pride.
You do. Well, one of the things that we learned from that is we're doing read-throughs now with our actors. So we get together, try to have a little bit more of so we can actually work more on the actual performances.
Nice.
You know, which is nice. So, I mean,
do you think that would have helped you if we had done that?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. But I didn't really have any expectations either. You know, I think different approaches affect it differently. It's not necessarily better or worse. Sometimes it can help you get into the mindset.
What advice do you have for actors, for stage or for film? What can you say to them about the casting process and what to expect or how to go through it?
Biggest thing is get out there and keep getting out there. And you will take it personally when you don't get cast. I still take it personally when I don't get cast. You just learn how to live with it. You learn how to say, okay, then that hurt, that stung, and you do it again. Because when you learn to love the craft more than, you know, just getting in the spotlight or whatever, you keep getting out there, and then you find real meaning and joy with it.
You've done a variety of things.
Yeah.
You know, the homeless young woman that you played in There's No Place. I mean, that was a tough role. I mean, so you've done serious, you've done Shakespeare, you've done farce.
Yeah.
So it's
It's fun to be flexible.
good.
Do you like acting or directing? Both, which you prefer?
Yeah, I like both. Like I was itching to direct before this. This was my first full length play directing.
Very cool.
I was itching to get my hands on a show. And now I'm itching to get back on stage.
Come with us on this journey.